What's up, guys? Sometimes it's the coach and the team's fault and not the quarterbacks. Ryan Tannehill went from Mr. Mediocre with the Miami Dolphins to the ultimate game changer for the Tennessee Titans. Tannehill replaced Marcus Mariota in the midst of the 2019 season. All he did from there was lead the Titans to an AFC Championship Game appearance after getting past Tom Brady and Lamar Jackson in the opening 2 rounds of the playoffs. As Tannehill showed, sometimes you just need the right fit to reach your full potential. So which other quarterbacks could follow in the footsteps of the 2019 Comeback Player of the Year and revive their careers on a new team in 2020? Let's play matchmaker with these 8 struggling quarterbacks. Number 8. Case Keenum, Minnesota Vikings. After frustrating stints with the Texans and Rams, Case Keenum finally found his footing when he joined the Minnesota Vikings in 2017. Injuries to Teddy Bridgewater and Sam Bradford allowed Keenum to start for the Vikings in 2018. He won 11 of 14 starts while setting career highs in completion percentage and touchdowns. Keenum, by the way, threw the Minneapolis Miracle touchdown pass to Stefon Diggs in the 2017 NFC Divisional Round, only to get blown out of the water by the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship Game 1 week later. The Vikings opted to move on from Keenum in favor of Kirk Cousins. Keenum landed with the Denver Broncos but struggled immensely, and they gave up on him after 1 year. Keenum joined the Washington Redskins in 2019, where he performed decently on a horrendous team. In 8 starts, Keenum had 1,707 yards and 11 touchdowns against 5 interceptions. So why should the Vikings go back to Keenum? Well, that huge Kirk Cousins contract netted just 1 playoff win in 2 years. Keenum got them to within 1 game of the Super Bowl. The Vikings faced a serious cap crunch in 2020 and 2021. You know you can win without Cousins, Bridgewater, and Bradford. Keenum did just fine for Mike Zimmer too. If the Vikings can find a trade partner for Cousins, they should totally make the move and bring in Keenum, who was clearly comfortable in Zimmerman's offense. He excelled in a game manager role, and there's no reason to think that he can't do it again. By moving on from Cousins and replacing him with Keenum, the Vikings would create a ton of cap space to extend their key players while making necessary roster upgrades. It sounds crazy now, but the Vikings should be all over a Keenum reunion. Number 7. Josh Rosen, Pittsburgh Steelers. Drafted 10th overall by the Arizona Cardinals in the deep 2018 quarterback draft class, Josh Rosen simply hasn't gotten much of a chance. The Cards gave up on him quickly because they fell in love with Kyler Murray in 2019. Rosen was then traded to the Miami Dolphins, who decided they wanted to tank for a 2020 QB prospect rather than build around a UCLA product. 2 teams in 2 years for Rosen, and none of them wanted him long term. Rosen barely saw any playing time there in Miami. The Finns will land their QB of the future at the 2020 draft, and Rosen will have to continue to wait for his time to shine. Hard to imagine any teams wanting to make Rosen their starter now, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are the perfect fit for Rosen. Allow us to explain. Ben Roethlisberger has hinted at retirement, and it's hard to envision him playing more than 2 more seasons. Mason Rudolph clearly isn't the long-term answer, so why not trade for Rosen and make him the heir apparent? This would give Roethlisberger, Mike Tomlin, and the tremendous Pittsburgh coaching staff more than enough time to mentor Rosen as their next starter. In the meantime, Big Ben would hopefully keep the Steelers in playoff contention as they prepare for life without him. Rosen obviously has a wonderful skill set, and he'd be joining a team that's built to win over the long run with a nasty defense and a handful of young offensive playmakers in Juju Smith-Schuster, James Washington, and James Conner. And Rosen probably wouldn't cost more than a 3rd or 4th round pick for the Steelers. Go get him, Pittsburgh. Number 6. Marcus Mariota, New England Patriots. Whether Tom Brady returns to New England or not is another story. The Patriots should view Mariota as a potential succession plan to the 6-time Super Bowl champion. He could start right away, or he could wait behind Brady should the latter return to Foxborough. Mariota hasn't been terrible by any means, but the number 2 overall pick from the 2015 draft just wasn't able to fit in Tennessee's rush-first offense. He's good at protecting the football, and with world-class speed and athleticism, Mariota would flourish in the right system. Mariota would be a terrific fit for Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick. Brady was more of a game manager in 2018 and 2019 anyway. Mariota's speed would add another dynamic to this offense. He'd be more than just a game manager, and Mariota would come cheaper than the other top free agent quarterbacks. Belichick has never had a dual-threat quarterback in New England, but Mariota would change all of that, and he's still young enough to be their long-term starter. Number 5. Nick Foles, Las Vegas Raiders. The Jacksonville Jaguars certainly have buyer's remorse over the 4-year, $88 million contract that they handed Nick Foles. He was limited to 4 games in 2019 after suffering a broken clavicle in week 1, and he was heavily outplayed by rookie Gardner Minshew when healthy. The latter looks to be the long-term answer in Duval County. Getting out of Foles' contract won't be easy, but the Las Vegas Raiders have the cap space and the incentives to take it on. If Mike Mayock and John Gruden are the geniuses that Mark Davis thinks they are, then they'll move on from Derek Carr. It's that simple. To be fair to Foles, the Jaguars haven't had a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback since forever. Foles, as we saw during his time with the Philadelphia Eagles, is Pro Bowl caliber as long as he's in the right system. Gruden wants those tough-as-nails guys who can put up with his criticism. Foles, being a Super Bowl 52 champion and a great underdog story and all, is the type of quarterback that Gruden needs. Foles also didn't have much to work with in Jacksonville. With the Raiders, he'd have breakout tight end Darren Waller, standout receiver Tyrell Williams, and flashy workhorse running back Josh Jacobs. So the Raiders should go for it all and take on Foles while dumping Carr elsewhere. Jacksonville might even throw in a sweetener like a mid-round pick or an expensive veteran defensive player if it means getting out of Foles' contract. I mean, call it crazy if you want, but at this point the Raiders should be keen on adding a Super Bowl MVP in favor of a guy who's gone 39-55 as their starter through 6 seasons. Number 4, Mitch Trubisky, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Chicago Bears need to stop being stubborn. They need to accept that it was a mistake to trade up and nab Trubisky with the 2nd overall pick in 2017. Yes, they messed up by passing on Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, but you can't move forward by looking back. Own up to your mistakes and move on. The Bears field a Super Bowl caliber team here, but they won't go anywhere with Trubisky. He simply isn't the answer, even with offensive genius Matt Nagy as his head coach. Trubisky can't get it done. Meanwhile, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers figure to move on from Jameis Winston, the number 1 pick from 2015. Sure, he had 5,109 passing yards and 33 touchdowns in 2019, but he also recorded 30 interceptions, and Winston has gone 28-42 through 5 seasons as a starter. It's simply not good enough. If Bruce Arians can win with guys like Drew Stanton and Ryan Lindley in Arizona, he can win with Trubisky. The quarterback whisperer has acknowledged that the Bucs can win without Winston. Why not take a shot on Trubisky? I mean, the latter doesn't have as much upside as Winston, but at least he's not careless with the football. With a legendary coach and 2 game-changing wideouts in Chris Goodwin and Mike Evans, Trubisky might finally reach his full potential and help Tampa Bay morph into a playoff contender. Just think about this. Arians turned Winston into a 5,000-yard, 30-touchdown guy. Without a doubt, he can help Trubisky go from mediocre to at least above average. He's still young enough to grow, and Arians should find a way to make it work. Why not go for it? Number 3, Derek Carr, Los Angeles Chargers. So we already know that the Chargers are moving on from Phillip Rivers. There is no shortage of options for Anthony Lynn and company. The likes of Brady, Winston, Mariota, Cam Newton, Teddy Bridgewater all make sense. But if the Raiders actually have the guts to move on from Carr, well, the Chargers should be all over it. Carr has actually put up some very good numbers on a super flawed Raiders team. Now imagine what he could do in an offense with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, and Justin Jackson. This would be the best set of weapons that Carr ever had. And unlike Rivers, Carr isn't exactly nearing the end of his prime. He'd be a huge upgrade over the 2019 version of Phillip Rivers. And if the Raiders were willing to move on from Carr, he wouldn't cost much in a trade. Would Mayock and Gruden do business with a division rival? I mean, why not? Especially if LA gives you the best offer. Of course, the Raiders could also outright release Carr, allowing the Chargers to sign him anyway. Carr is more proven than the likes of Trubisky, Bridgewater, and Mariota. He's younger than marquee names like Rivers and Brady. That's why he's the ideal fit for a Chargers team that is 1 QB upgrade away from returning to Super Bowl contention. Number 2, Andy Dalton, Chicago Bears. What Dalton did on such a flawed and dysfunctional Cincinnati Bengals team is nothing short of admirable. And he was always classy and humble during his tenure in Cincy. He led them to the postseason in each of his first 5 seasons. But the Bengals are taking Joe Burrow or somebody else in the first round of the 2020 draft. The Dalton era is over, and he'll get the chance to revive his career elsewhere. Dalton would be a great fit for any QB-ready team, but the Bears especially stand out. With an elite defense and a good set of offensive weapons led by David Montgomery and Allen Robinson, Dalton could regain his old Pro Bowl form in the Windy City. Matt Nagy would probably work better with a veteran like Dalton, much like he did in Kansas City with Alex Smith. Dalton would join a team that's ready to win now, and he would be more than a game manager in Chicago. The Bears would give him every chance to win a Super Bowl, and he wouldn't cost much in a trade. That is the perfect match. Number 1, Jameis Winston, Indianapolis Colts. There are a plethora of options here for Winston, but at the end of the day, the Colts probably are the best fit for him. The Colts have a roster that's ready to win win now. They just need to upgrade a quarterback. Frank Reich, one of the best offensive-minded coaches around, should be able to help Winston in cutting back on those turnovers. With T.Y. Hilton, Zach Pascal, and Marlon Mack at the helm, Winston wouldn't be lacking in playmaking weapons. And the Colts have one of the league's best offensive lines. That would also help Winston reduce his turnovers significantly, as he'd be under a lot less pressure. With a savvy front office and coaching staff, plenty of young talent on both sides of the ball, and the luxury of playing in a wide-open division, Winston and the Colts could accomplish so much together. Reich helped revive Nick Foles' career while he was the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia, and it only produced a Super Bowl. And he was a quarterback coach in San Diego during the 2013 season when Rivers won the Comeback Player of the Year award. So yeah, Reich obviously knows a thing or two about reviving the career of a quarterback. But Winston is younger than Foles and Rivers were at the time, and he still has plenty of upside. And that, folks, is why the Colts are the perfect landing spot for the first overall pick from 2015. Which other quarterbacks could revive their careers on a new team? Join us in the comments section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post awesome content every single day. If you like this video and you learned a thing or two, clicking the like button below helps us out a lot, and we do appreciate it. As always, thank you for watching. I'm Joe Biondo. We'll see you next time.